Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for enjoying our breakfast and for joining us today. Welcome to our 2018 Dodge City Community College Hall of Fame. For those of you that I have not had the privilege to meet yet, I'm Christy Ostrager. I'm the Director of Human Resources here at Dodge City Community College. I'm also the Chair of the Hall of Fame Committee. This year was my first opportunity to participate on this committee. And while I enjoyed several aspects of the preparation and getting to know some of the people that I don't normally have the opportunity to meet with, I had two most favorite parts. One, most definitely, is today, and enjoying the celebration with all of you and getting to share breakfast and have a meal together and honor these wonderful individuals. The second, though, hasn't been in the committee meetings when I had the privilege of listening to all of the committee members talk about the inductees here with us today. The individuals being honored today and their achievements and their dedication to Dodge City Community College are immeasurable to several others, and I'm so grateful to get to honor them today. I learned of all the generosity and dedication we have received from Mr. Greg Goff, being honored today for his outstanding voluntary service. I discovered all the many accomplishments of Mr. Ron Prince, being honored today for his outstanding career achievement after starting his career here at Dodge City Community College. I listened to heartwarming stories of Mr. Lee Lancaster's classroom and of his companionship after 30 years of dedication to the college. He was being honored today for his outstanding service. And actually, some of your students are in the room, and I learned wonderful stories. The kind words spoken of these three great men, I believe, is testament to what it means to be part of Dodge City Community College. Over the years, many staff, faculty, and students have walked through these buildings and across this campus, but what never seems to change is the amount of extraordinary individuals that leave their mark on this college. There's a long-standing legacy of dedication to our students, service to one another and to our community, and for love of Dodge City Community College. I believe this legacy is seen through our 2018 Hall of Fame inductees, and it is my absolute privilege to honor these men. And with that, I welcome all of you to our Hall of Fame inductee ceremony today, and I hope that you enjoy the moments that we're going to share together. And I invite Dr. Harold Nolte, President of the College, for his presidential address.
Thank you, Christy. Good morning. I say better than that. Good morning. Thank y'all for all getting up so early on a Saturday morning. I tell you what, it is a little early, but I thank you. Thank you for the crowd. I really appreciate that. Hello, I'm Harold Nolte, President of Dodge City Community College. It is my honor to welcome you today on behalf of the Board of Trustees, the faculty, the staff, and especially our students, the 2018 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I would like to first and foremost thank the Hall of Fame committee, and I'd like them to stand. Let's give them a hand. Okay, y'all stand up, please. I promise you they worked hard and did an absolutely wonderful job. I'd also like to thank the marketing committee. Please, would you all stand up? Let's keep getting it. And then they don't even know I want to recognize them, but I need to, because I love them dearly. And every morning they take care of us, every night they take care of us. Food services, everybody give them a hand. Come here all the time and they love our food service, and they really do. And typically students, they have a gripe, but it's not the food service because they really, John and his crew, they go out of their way to take care of our students, and we're real proud of that. Today we are recognizing and proud of this Dodge City Community College history. These individuals that have played a key role in making our college great. We are fortunate to have these three men. And I'm excited that you get to hear a little bit more about them. And so I'm looking forward to this. But before I start, I need to introduce you to the Board of Trustees that are here. Now, these three ladies are always at every event that seems like. And they're the three pillars of the trustees. And I want them to stand up and I want you to give them. That may not know these people, this is Florence Hampton, Kathy Gramsire, and Mike Gordon. And they are absolutely the three most wonderful ladies in the world. I mean, just to give you a perfect example, and I want them to know this. This week, we had a couple of elves, one being Christy and her crew. They went around and gave bonuses, Christmas bonuses, and it was the generosity of the board that made it happen. And I have had more people, I want y'all to know, I've had more people thank me for those Christmas bonuses than the raises or anything. They just appreciate it. And everybody appreciates the Christmas bonuses, so thank you. It's been a hard year. We've not been able to give out raises and things like that. But the Christmas bonuses are worth it in everybody's favor, and we're proud to thank y'all for doing that. And tonight we celebrate, in fact, tonight's our Christmas party. And we had probably close to 160, 180 people coming. And my first year, I think we had about 25. And so I'm looking forward to celebrating. We're going to have it at a great location, and I look forward to it's going to be fun. We have the contest for the most ugliest sweater. And I talked to my daughter, I said, because I started pulling our sweaters out, I said, honey, which one is the most ugliest sweater do you think? She said, yeah, they're all ugly. So there you go. Here's my daughter. She's 14 years old. I appreciate her. I want to introduce, and if I miss somebody, our executive staff, I want to introduce first Jay Moore, Beverly Tamont, Ryan Osmus, Scott Searcy, and then Christy, and these are the ladies that make all this thing happen. Christy and her crew, along with Chris and her crew, who's her crew herself. She's also the one that did the foundation dinner, and so we really did her. She does an outstanding job there. Andrew and her crew, and then Jake. And Jake does a great job. By the way, Jake's looking for a new football coach if you know somebody. Just kidding! I know we had about 80 candidates, but it was only 73, so we have people very interested in our athletic program. So the facts that you need to know about, and I would like to tell you about the college, we had sent to college about a month ago, and so I was able to get these facts, and then on Monday morning I go to Ambus, which is our little business group, and I talked to them about the fun facts that are going on in college. And so be real quick and let you know, because that's not what this is all about. This is to honor these three men, and so I want to give you some information about it. Dodge City is 83 years young. So we've been around for 83 years, and I know we'll be around for another 50 years. We're doing some great things. We're one of the few colleges that have campuses outside of Kansas. We're the only one out of 19 that have that. Good honor we had. We're the #1 community college in Kansas. And by the way, I tell all the other 18 that we are. Now, if I learn to become. So that's the group that gave us that honor. So I'm really proud of that. Our tuition and fees are one of the lowest in the state. Matter of fact, Ford County is the lowest in the state. So out of the 19 community colleges, we have the lowest tuition and fees. Most of our college is taught by full-time faculty, which is a good thing. You want our full-time faculty. And I'm really proud of Jane and her group. They are really bringing in some really excellent faculty. And so we've got some really good faculty here that are doing a great job. And so thank you for all that you do. Our nursing rates have gone up tremendously since 2014. We are now at 94% pass rate in class. Matter of fact, NPR came to us, I guess, last week and asked us what we were doing differently because our rates go up so high. Because they watch those kind of things. And matter of fact, Paul Blake Flanders, our commissioner of education, was asking how we were doing it. I said, because we're good. But no, our faculty are doing a great job, and we're real proud of them. Obviously, our facilities, Jake and others have been taking football coaches around to see our facilities, and they're very good. We have some really nice facilities now. We've got some maintenance issues, but we've got to take care of some buildings. But deferred maintenance is a big problem for any institution, so we'll be working on those also. Our foundation, we had a good foundation dinner the other night, auction. It looks like we made around $65,000 for our first year. That's pretty good. $30,000 of that will be going for scholarships. And so I'm real proud of that. And we had between, I want to say about 300 people there. So it really, we rolled us up 300 tickets, so we had a good crowd there. We're going to continue raising money for different opportunities. And we have people out there that are giving us money, and we appreciate those people that are giving every day. And that's really important to us. So I think it's important that our foundation works very, very hard. It works hand in hand with the administration and everything else. Just to your right, we're changing the landscape. It was a little bit controversial, you probably know, but we sold 3.1 acres. At first, they gave us a check for $5,000. Okay, that's not very much for that piece of property. But then they came back, the city made good, and it was $270,000. Now, part of that is we're trying to build this community. 14 here is really growing. They're going to put supplements in there. They're also, as you know, the green building, that's going to be the Casey's, and that will help us for economic development. Across the street now, United Wireless is building a building by the water tower, and they're also going to put a coffee shop in there. Now, I wish they were going to put Starbucks in there, but they're not. It's going to be another one, but one just as popular. And I miss my Starbucks. But this is the kind of things that are going to happen. And this is going to generate, for us, it's going to generate probably $100,000 a year more for what we're going to receive in taxes. So that'll help do it. Our goal is to work with the city and the county and the USD and the chamber. So we're doing some of those things. One of the opportunities that we've got going on right now is we're possibly going to have a university center. And if you've been in healthcare, is not real good right now in Western Kansas. And so we're working with the universities. We're working with KU, WSU, and also at Fort Hays. And we're going to put in a university center. And our emphasis is going to be on healthcare. And the city, the county, and the college, and others are working with it, as well as the USD. So we're trying to do some things that are going to cause us to grow and generate some opportunities for our students here. Because I call it from cradle to grave, but what we're able to do is have students that live here, they're born here, live here, get their education, and stay here. And so that's what we're trying to do. Some other opportunities we have, I was talking to Blake Flanders, which is a commissioner, and he and Randy Watson are visiting with me a little bit, and we're going to do some interesting things here for education. And my goal is to get more of our kids educated, more of our students, whether you be traditional or non-traditional. That's some of our goals. I want to shout out to our fine arts department. Carrie, I'm real proud of you guys. Really, really proud of what y'all are doing. They were able on Sunday to do Windhorse. Maybe I give them a hand. I'll tell you what. Windhorse just opened up, and guess what? Guess who the first visitors were? These guys right here. And so they did their Christmas concert, and then they went to the First Methodist Church, and they did something on campus. And I'm real proud of what y'all are doing. Thank you for what you do. For you that enjoy athletics, we had a basketball game here on what night was it? Wednesday night. Wednesday night. Yeah. We barely lost to the Butler women. We barely lost that, but we went. We had a controversial call and we won on the men. But a win, Coach, is a win, right? And our job is not only to build a culture of champions on our sports field, our academics, or all our
fine arts. We want to build champions, and that's what we're all about. And so I just want you to be aware of that. DCC is fortunate, Dodge City Community College, I always hate to call it DCCC, but Dodge City Community College is fortunate to have an outstanding alumnus. Their accomplishments made this possible, and our faculty have made this very possible for these individuals. And we're very happy with what you go when they go out and do the kinds of great things they do. And we're very proud to have you come back here and be part of this tradition. I am very proud of this institution, and I look forward to meeting with you and talking with you and visiting with you. And thank you for an absolutely wonderful day. Thank you very much. Have a great one. Bye now.
Introducing our first Hall of Fame inductee, I'd like to invite Mr. Ben Zimmerman III and Chris Hazelhorst.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here this morning, and I am very honored to introduce Greg Goff as a 2018 Dodge City Community College Hall of Fame inductee for outstanding volunteer service. Reflecting on my 45-year friendship with Greg, how would I best describe his personal attributes? Focused, resolute, competitive, imaginative, intelligent, generous, and compassionate quickly come to mind. Greg has effectively used these traits to achieve notable success as a student athlete, a teacher, a businessman, a community volunteer, and in his various family roles. While attending Dodge City Community College, Greg excelled both as a student and as an athlete. After graduation from the college, Greg enrolled at Baker University, where he was chosen as captain of the basketball team and finished as one of the top 20 scorers in school history. Following graduation from Baker University, Greg taught and coached for 4 years at high schools in Harrington and Spearville. His basketball teams won 2 district titles during his comparatively short high school coaching career. Greg then made a very bittersweet decision to leave his love of secondary education teaching and coaching so that he could join his father, Don, in the establishment of Goff Motors, which at inception was an American Motors and Renault franchisee in Dodge City. While at that time, American Motors and Renault cars were considered to be dependable and durable, and I hope Greg agrees with me on this, styling was considered by many people to lack panache. Is that a fair statement? Okay. I think the hot models at the time were Marlin, Ambassadors. Help me out here, Greg. I don't remember. Matadors. Okay. Hot items. This perceived styling weakness made sales somewhat challenging on this product line. However, in typical Goff family fashion, Greg and his father put their noses to the grindstone, honed their sales and management skills, and made Goff Motors a successful business venture. In subsequent years, Goff Motors was renamed G&G Supercenters. Owing to Greg's vision, marketing innovation, staff mentoring, and business acumen, G&G prospered as its new car product line expanded to include Pontiac, Cadillac, Mazda, Buick, GMC, and Hyundai. In recognition of his outstanding automobile dealership management expertise, Greg received numerous awards from automobile manufacturers and also served as chairman of the National Automobile Dealers Association Group 20. Greg has always been a strong family man. He and Linda, his high school sweetheart, have been married for 46 years and raised 3 talented and accomplished sons. They've also been blessed with 3 grandsons and 3 granddaughters. I understand there's one more on the way. Is that correct? Congratulations on that. Both of Greg's parents have passed, but during their lives, Greg enjoyed wonderful relationships with both of them. Through the years, Greg has served on a number of economic development-related boards. However, it is unquestionable that with respect to community service activities, Greg has always been especially interested in supporting youth-related education and sports organizations. He served as president of the USD 443 Academic Boosters Club, as chairman of the Upward Basketball Youth Program, and has been a frequent financial contributor to various youth-related organizations. Greg has always been a long-standing financial contributor to the Dodge City Community College basketball program, as well as to the Dodge City Community College Foundation. Currently, Greg serves on the Foundation's board of directors, and as its major gifts chairman, has been integral in raising significant financial contributions during the past several years. For all of us who know him, it is undisputable that Greg fully embodies Winston Churchill's quote, that we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. I now ask that Christina come up to the podium to share her thoughts regarding Greg's well-deserved recognition this morning.
Okay, I am not from Dodge City. I didn't grow up here. I did visit Dodge as a kid, Boot Hill more specifically, but I don't have the history that a person does who has been here for a long time. In the over 11 years that my family and I have been in Dodge City, I can finally feel the roots taking hold, and I'm relishing in the relationships and bonds that we are creating with the people that we meet. A couple of years ago, one specific relationship exploded into my inner circle. I was a brand new foundation director for the college, coming in at, well, a rather tumultuous time. But a small group of people believed that I could do this development job, even amidst the naysayers both on and off campus. One gentleman in particular took an interest in me, my skill set, and what I was planning to do to move the foundation forward. I had never met Greg Goff before taking this job, although I'd talked to him on the phone once before. Greg at first kept his distance after I began my tenure, although he always seemed to be around. I think he was sizing me up. But we soon began visiting on a regular basis, and I quickly realized that this guy was serious about helping the Dodge City Community College and the foundation. After a few months, I learned about Greg's family, the family legacy, his passion for all things Dodge City, the Legends basketball team, his passion for marketing, his excitement when accomplishments are realized, goosebumps, his fearlessness when taking risks, his compassion for others, and his vulnerabilities. It was apparent that Greg trusted me, and I could feel myself trusting him. And before long, I asked him to be my mentor as I learned to navigate this world of major donations and in business. Greg Goff has done more to help me move the foundation towards better relationships within Dodge City and the surrounding community than anyone. Together, we have formed bonds with our donors that truly put the meaning in foundation family. Greg helped me to see the opportunity where many saw problems. He didn't say, let someone else do it. He said, I'll take that on. With the hustle of the Energizer Bunny, Greg started talking and raising money. All Greg's talk and enthusiasm gave the rest of us, myself especially, what we needed most, and that was leadership. He doesn't just look around and see things that need attention. He takes action. I have witnessed his desire to help outside of the foundation in his relationships with others on campus and within the community. And his dedication to the planning and implementation of the DC3 Foundation Gala Dinner and Auction helped me to rocket the auction back onto the center stage in this community. Several weeks ago, as I was sitting in the Hall of Fame committee meeting, we were discussing nominees. I've never found a great way to thank Greg for everything he's done for us or for me. I suggested Greg as a nominee. But the first question that was asked was, well, what are we nominating for? Outstanding volunteer, well, that was a no-brainer. He's one of the hardest working volunteers for DC3 that exists. Outstanding service, also a no-brainer. The Legends basketball team, the Dodge City Chamber of Commerce, and so many other entities within the Dodge City and the surrounding area have benefited from his participation. Outstanding career achievement. G&G Supercenters has been wildly successful due to his leadership in the industry. Greg fulfilled the requirements for all three of them. But I'm happy to say that the outstanding volunteer service seems to epitomize all three in the eyes of all of us within the Hall of Fame. We all see the same things that Greg sees. There are jobs that need to be done, problems that need to be solved, and as we look at those and think about our busy lives, we most likely say to ourselves, somebody will take care of that. We mean well, but we just don't get around to doing anything. Greg is the person that does something. So Greg, on behalf of everyone here, I'd like to say thanks for being a man of action and not just words. You have helped me to get started in this career, rallying many of us to work together to make the foundation and DC3 goals a reality. You have excelled in many facets of your life, from family to business, but your volunteer service has helped to grow so many organizations and lift up more individuals than we can count. So please join Ben and myself in giving Greg Goff a round of applause as we present him with the Dodge City Community College Hall of Fame Outstanding Volunteer Service Award.
If you want to stand up here, I have a lot to say. So. Thank you, Ben and Chris, for your kind words. I would like to thank Christy and Ashley, Andrea and John for their leadership and hard work in organizing this event. It's obviously a first-class event and decorated so beautifully. Their hearts and passion were all over it. That's obvious. So thank you, all of you that have excelled at putting this event together. I'm the blessed one in this scenario. As my wife knows, I'm the turbocharged guy that's still running around. I retired 5 years ago, but I was bored. I needed things to do. I love to get things done. I love to be involved in this community. I love being busy. I love this college. And trust me, by the way, my wife needed me to be busy and out of the house. I was taught by my fantastic family parents the importance of being grateful. About if you made a commitment to be passionate about it. About nothing is more important than family and faith. My mom and dad were vibrant and passionate. My in-laws, Harrison and Margie Burke, were enthusiastic, motivated, and passionate. My two brother-in-laws, Larry and Richard Burke, were incredible leaders, administrators, teachers. My two best high school friends, Joe Kubisky and Mike Montgomery, were passionate and intense and dedicated to their love of football. I love God. I love our church. I love this community. I love USD 443. I love Dodge City Community College. I love and adore my wife and our three sons, our grandchildren. I love to be passionate. I love to give. I love to do things for other people. My passionate events in my life have been Upward Basketball, where we had 250 to 300 kids, grades 1 through 6. And our goal was to get them in church, to get them inside a church wall, to change their lives. We had scripture at the games. We did everything we could to be role models and be kind and not put pressure on them to win or lose, but to have a great experience. And lo and behold, over that period of 7 years, with 100 volunteers through the First Christian Church, we had dozens and dozens of kids that ended up attending church. And guess what happens when kids attend church? Mom and dad follow. So to me, that was a life-changing event. The Academic Booster Club was really something dear to my heart. I felt like kids were not getting the recognition they deserve. I recruited Thelma Greenberg and Mary Trotter, and the three of us in the late 1980s. Well, I'm not that old, late 1800s, that's good. In the late 1980s, we got the Academic Booster Club put together, and it still exists today. I loved the AAU summer basketball, where we had 18 passenger vans, 16 players. Bob Sodell and I taking kids from all the small communities around, along with Dodge City and by-state area. I mean, we really had a great experience. Teaching those kids about life was more important than the basketball, but they happened to evolve beautifully in basketball. And our last summer, we were 66-9 and won 6 tournaments. And those kids from all over Southwestern Heights, Jetmore, Spearville, Garden, Cimarron, Dodge. Those kids had very successful careers. They were like having coaches on the court. It was a delight to watch them play. And then the Red Demons, our son's senior year, took third in the state. So that was a fun time. The Boot Hill All-Star Game, Tom Taylor and I co-chaired that for 12 years, recruiting kids from all over Southwest Kansas and Northwest Kansas to come to Dodge City for 3 days, to coexist, to have a great experience together. I've had a lot of those kids come up to me later in life and say that was a glorious 3 days for them. Also opened the door for them to get scholarships because we had a lot of college coaches come attend that game. The Legend Pro franchise, wow, I can't tell you how much fun that was for 7 years, winning 3 national championships in 7 years and having people from all over the state of Kansas, the Midwest, come watch us play, a packed house. People were so excited, people up on the stage, wonderful coaches. We were very blessed with coaches that knew we needed to bring in players that would blend well in this community and get along well and be role models and not have tension or anxiety or problems. People like Kent Small and Carol Banning and her husband and Kelly and George Henricks, Mike and Marsha Morrison. There were 16 owners that stepped up and made that happen. We had over 150 businesses and individuals support that franchise, or we wouldn't have been able to stay open. Would still probably be playing if the SBL hadn't closed. And probably my number one passion, maybe my number two, upward basketball really grabs my heart, was just helping kids in the community. I like to tell our 3 sons that I never said no. My dad and I never said no, not one time. Male, female, age, interest, whatever excited them, excited us. And so I love to be there and make a difference for kids in the community and the college. So back to passion. I will embarrass you, my wife. My precious wife, Linda K. Burke, was and is a ball of fire, as a lot of you know. Passionate and dedicated to our 3 sons, Jared, Travis, and Derek, to myself, to her French teaching career at Dodge City High. She was such a role model for our 3 sons. She loved to get up in the morning and go to work. So simplistic, yet so full of courage and so passionate about her work. And those kids at school weren't their parents' kids, those were her kids. She adopted those kids and they were like family. So you can see I've been surrounded by passion. I've been blessed by passion. I love our 3 sons. I'm so proud of our 6 grandchildren and 1 on the way, and I cherish my wife. About gratitude, I'd like to talk about gratitude for a moment. The college. When I think of gratitude, I think of the college. I think we need to be grateful about the college. And I know many of you recall when we lost St. Mary the Plains College. That was a really difficult time and not good for the community. We're so blessed to have Dodge City Community College. So the educational opportunities it provides to Dodge City and Southwest Kansas, we must support this school. Its students. We must sustain Dodge City Community College and the incredible opportunities to grow our kids and to grow their futures. We must value Dodge City Community College. This is an opportunity for me, I'll make it brief, but for the Goffs and the Burks to be grateful to our community, Southwest Kansas, for supporting our businesses for over 50 years. You never get a chance to say thank you. This is about our people. I see some of our people in the audience: Larry Freese, Donnie Gertson, Mike Wells, my partners Pat George and John Wentling, and many, many, many other employees that I could mention. For the Burks, Dean Smalley and Dave Flowers, those memories to me are precious. I can't tell you how much I loved the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. All the wonderful families that were supportive of our 2 families. I can't articulate to you how much that means to me. Moving over to attending the games, I'd like to see more people attend our games. I'd like to see more people support our music department. I'd like to see more people speak highly and positively out in the community and promote the college, support the college, care about this college. It's a major, major asset. And I think it often goes unnoticed and needs to be appreciated much, much more than it is. This president, Dr. Harold Nolte, is working day and night to make this happen. His administrative staff, his athletic director, his faculty, his coaches, his maintenance staff, all these people work hard, diligently to make this a great place. I'd like to plant a seed with you. I hope it's not too controversial, but once in a while I head that direction. But will there be 19 community colleges in Kansas 10 years from now? That's what we have to ask ourselves. So what do we all need to do collectively to make sure that doesn't happen? We have to make this institution the very best it can be. So think about that. Dodge City Community College has been part of my life since I was 11 years old. The memories just flood my mind. I treasure my time at Dodge City Community College. My dad and I attended that Thanksgiving tournament. It was a tradition for years and years and years, much to the chagrin of my wife and my mother at times. But we were there, and we were obsessive compulsive basketball. I still am, and my dad certainly was, but it was a glorious time. It was a bonding time for us. It was a time for my father and I to bond, and it propelled me to be a better person, to understand discipline, energy, commitment, things like that were valuable for me. Not just on the court, but off the court. It inspired me tremendously. Yeah, I get to embarrass Galen Frick one more time. But that national championship team in 1963 was, I don't know if we'll ever see it again. Coach Steve Tucker, I hope we do. But Galen Frick, when he went up to grab a rebound with one hand and slap it into the other hand with probably a 40-inch vertical. I have the chills telling you about it as an 11, 12, 13-year-old. I'm sitting underneath the goal, and I look at my dad and said, "Wow, did you see that, Dad? That was amazing." This guy had a 40-inch vertical. Don't tell me white men can't jump. This was something to behold, and his energy and his drive and his passion. And then there was Reggie Green, the point guard from Washington, D.C. By the way, Galen is from tiny Durham, Kansas. He's quite a wonderful story. Back to Reggie Green. Reggie Green was a point guard, very long. He was a thief. He would steal the ball in the open court and embarrass the opposition point guard time after time after time. Unselfish, no-look passes, behind-the-back passes, no-look passes. I mean, it was just, I could not wait to get to the Civic Center. We always sat underneath the goal where we could see the physicality of it all. And then Carl Head, the outstanding center from Washington, D.C., 6'4", and I don't know if people in those days had 45-inch verticals, but it certainly looked like he had a 45-inch vertical because he'd block shots into the stands. I caught one once, and you're 11, 12 years old. That makes quite an impression on you. So my father's coaching background for 12 years and his teachings propelled me to have some success at the high school and start 9 TOC games, playing the TOC, which was just, in those days, the Tournament Champions was the best high school tournament in the state of Kansas. It was full. People up on the stage, underneath the goals, people standing room only, teams from Tulsa Central, teams from Wichita East. I mean, it was by far the best tournament. So just to get to participate in that tournament was a joy. Then I earned a scholarship to Dodge City Community College to play on the same court as those people that I idolized. A tremendous coach and fine man, Dick Brown, was my mentor, teaching us just as much about life as he did about basketball, just a fine gentleman. it was one of those things that you put up or shut up when you come from a high school in Kansas to play junior college basketball in the 60s and 70s. I won't say it, but you better have your stuff together. You better be wearing the appropriate underwear, because they would take you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you didn't learn quickly, you wouldn't play. So you had to be a warrior. You had to scrap. And that taught me to scrap, to claw, to draw charges, to when it got tough, to get tough. So that took my level of play to an all-new height because of the level of competition. So it was a thrill for me to play against people I've mentioned before. From Burlington, Iowa, junior college, downtown Freddie Brown became one of the best shooters in the history of the NBA. When he crossed the half-court line, he would shoot a basketball 1 or 2 steps outside the top of the circle. 3 of us tried to guard him one night, and we all failed. He had 34. Played against Spencer Haywood from Trinidad State Junior College, Trinidad, Colorado. And he was a top NBA 50 basketball player 10 years ago, rated one of the top 50 NBA players of all time. Set all kinds of records in the NBA. Those people were in the Civic Center. I then received a full ride to Baker University and loved playing for Coach Charlie Mansfield. The best competitor, Coach Mansfield told me I was one of the best competitors he ever coached, and I really appreciated that remark. I was fortunate to set a couple school records. My father, Don Goff, served on the board here at the college from 1973 to 1977, and my 3 sisters also graduated from the college. In closing, the passion and the gratitude I was taught by Don and Norma Goff grip my heart, pull on my heartstrings, make me a better man. I'm so grateful for my family. In closing, I want to talk about Genesis 2:22. It says the word rib means for advice. The Jewish sages teach that women were given an extra portion of wisdom that men need. They have a proverb that says the following: if a man's wife be short, let him bend down and incline his ears to listen to her sage advice. When in doubt, ask your wife. She was made by God to give you the best advice. Any success I have had in my life, however limited it may be, is shared with my wife. She gives me wisdom, strength, and courage. She completes me. My most brilliant achievement, if there is one, my most brilliant achievement in life was convincing my wife to marry me. So I thank you for this honor. I'm deeply touched by this honor. I thank you for your attendance, and God bless.
Our next inductee is Ron Prince for his outstanding career achievement. For those of you who follow ESPN and other social outlets, you might know that he has just been named the head football coach at Howard University in Washington, D.C., and today is actually his press release and recruiting day. And so when I spoke with him, he was heartbroken that he couldn't attend. However, I do want to still honor him and his many career achievements. And to honor him today is Mr. Larry Burke.
Thank you. It's good to be back in Dodge City. My wife and I moved about a little over a year ago to Lawrence. I miss Dodge City. I miss Dodge City Community College. I worked out here for many years, as most of you know, and nobody who ever worked here loved their job more than I loved mine. I absolutely loved teaching here. It was just a great, great experience. It's my honor to introduce Ron Prince. Christy said he couldn't be here today. I know he's disappointed in that because I exchanged several emails with him, and I know he was thrilled to be nominated. And I think that speaks well for Dodge City Community College, because Ron's been around some pretty big-time stuff. As she said, today's a press conference and I think a big recruiting weekend, and so he couldn't be here. I am privileged to know all three of the inductees today. Greg, of course, is my brother-in-law who's done wonderful things for the college. Lee Lancaster and I were on the faculty together for a number of years, and Lee was an outstanding teacher. And then Ron. Ron was a student in my classes in 1988 and 89. And you know, when your classes are pretty full and you teach a lot of years, why, you got a lot of students. And of course they come and go, and as I'm walking around town, I have a student come up to me and you know, I kind of recognize a face, but I can't remember specifics, but there's a few that really stand out, and Ron really stood out. He was probably one of the more memorable students I've heard. He was intelligent, great personality, impressive to meet and talk to. He was from Junction City, graduated from high school there, was an offensive line big guy. Ron Prince is a big man, okay, big guy. Offensive lineman at Dodge City Community College, under Coach Jerry Cullen. And I want to stop and say this for just a second. You know, when you're teaching this college, you get a lot of athletes in class. Well, you know, sometimes you got some who may not want to toe the mark the way you want them to toe the mark, but you know, you got to get it in their head they're going to toe the mark. But one thing about Jerry Cullen's football players, they were pretty good. I had some of the best students I've had were football players. Now, not all of them were Jerry's, but he had a lot of more, and I think he put some emphasis on that, and I think he deserves a little credit for it. Anyway, Ron was one of his players, and he made the All Jayhawk JUCO Conference team and was named an academic All-American in 1989. He transferred to Appalachian State University, where he played football on the team that won the Southern Conference Championship. In 1991, he graduated in 1992 with a degree in, you guessed it, history. I kind of like to think I had something to do with that, but I don't know for sure. But anyway, he coached as a graduate assistant at Appalachian State and then came back to Dodge City Community College, I think, for a year. And then he went on to become offensive line coach at several Division I schools or major universities. I know he was the offensive line coach at the University of Virginia. Now, you know, I'm standing up here and I shouldn't say I think, but I think Ron coached the offensive line at Cornell University, which the hell of a deal, you know, Ivy League school and all that stuff. In 2006, he was named head coach at Kansas State University. Ron was relatively young. He didn't have a whole long, I don't think, resume, you know, as an assistant coach. And I think somebody probably asked, gosh, I wonder how he got that job. And I don't know how he got the job, but I'm pretty sure he blew him away on an interview because he could blow him away. The guy was impressive to deal with. He led Kansas State to a 7-6 record his first year. They beat Texas. That was a nice feather in his cap. They went to a bowl game. I'm sure that his stint at Kansas State didn't end the way Ron would like for it to have ended. He was there 3 years. But I read that Ron's winning percentage at Kansas State was the second highest of any coach in the history of Kansas State to Bill Snyder. So, you know, that's not bad.
That's not bad. Ron then went on to coach the offensive line for the Indianapolis Colts, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Detroit Lions. Pretty impressive stuff. And when he was at the Detroit Lions, he was the associate head coach. Pretty impressive stuff. I got to tell you a story here, okay? When Ron was named head coach at Kansas State, I'd kept in contact with him. He'd email me once in a while. We kind of keep in touch. And when he was named head coach at K-State, why, the athletic director brought him around on a tour of the state to meet the various catbackers and so forth. And they came to Dodge City, and they had a meeting at the ballroom of the country club. Those of you who know me know I'm a confirmed Jayhawk. But I went to that meeting because I wanted to see Ron and congratulate him and so forth. When he came in, he handed me his card. We had a nice conversation. But he went on, and my Wildcat friends kind of gave me a razzing because I was there, but I just wanted to see Ron. One of the things, I mentioned this, one of the things that happened there was that Ron's a confident guy. And shortly after he got there, he convinced Josh Freeman, who was one of the elite quarterbacks probably in the country, to decommit from University of Nebraska, who was coached by Bill Callahan. And Callahan was a famous guy and had been the head coach at Oakland Raiders and all that good stuff. Ron convinced him to decommit from there and come to K-State. Well, like I say, Callahan was a very well-known guy. And at that meeting up there at the Catbackers Country Club deal, he asked questions, and one of the Wildcat fans said, "Well, what did Callahan think when you got Josh Freeman to decommit and come to K-State?" And Ron says, "Who's Callahan?" Anyway, last year Ron was offensive analyst for the Michigan Wolverines, and they had an awfully good year. And now he is the head coach at Howard University. Ron married his wife Sarah, and they have 4 kids. I told Ron when he left K-State, I emailed back and forth, and I said to him, I think, Ron, if you wanted to, you get a graduate degree in history, you make a hell of a history professor. So if Ron sees this, or might be listening, when you're done at Howard, Ron, what think about that? Ron is an outstanding guy and a memorable student, and I'm proud to introduce him as an honoree today. Thank you.
Introducing our third Hall of Fame inductee today is Mr. Dave McCollum.
Thank you, Christy. What a bunch of outstanding speakers we've had this morning. Kind of makes me a little bit nervous, and I've been teaching a lot of years, and it's kind of funny. You'd think that anybody that's held on to one of these things as long as I have would never get any kind of butterflies, but I want to do a good job honoring our Lee Lancaster today, and so I'm a little bit nervous. Please bear with me. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce Lee Lancaster and honor him for outstanding service. In 1993, I was just a young fella back then. I was hired and first met Lee. I was impressed by his quiet professionalism and his lifelong dedication to this institution. I still am. By the time I had met Lee in the 1990s, he'd already served 20 years at the college, and I can remember that this had to be a great place to work. Somebody like him that would put 20 years of his career and his life here made me confident that I chose the right place to come work. He was a steady, quiet force behind the ag program, seeking to increase the quality and the quantity of offerings. Many of the improvements which he instituted, such as the partnership with Koch, The grass farm north of town, the sprinkler north of campus are still in place today. He was instrumental and diligent in creating transferability of coursework at K-State and Fort Hays University. I can still remember traveling with Lee to Fort Hays and to a CACTA conference. It's a conference for ag teachers across the state of Kansas. And that was a great experience. I'm still proud to say that we're part of that institution. Lee worked tirelessly to do all the things that made a program successful, such as recruiting at local high schools, even attending pizza parties, recruitment drives, or at the 3I show and many other activities, and being part of the community of the college and at large. Lee served on many committees during his time, was our division chair, and truly represented faculty on the PRC. Lee, however, didn't ask much of fellow faculty, but instead led in many ways. I can recall, however, a time when Lee asked for a little help for him and Jeff Nemechek, who was here at the time. You see, one of our fellow faculty members was due to retire, June Cleason. Many of you remember June. She was a great instructor herself. And we had to put on a little celebration for her going away party. So Lee was behind this, of course, and we went out to the school farm, and I don't know how many of you have seen Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. Marlon Perkins is always driving the Jeep. Well, Lee was driving the Gator, and we apprehended one of the calves out at the school farm and hog-tied it and brought it into campus. We had critters of every shape and size and brought them over here to campus and helped put on a really good celebration. That was just Lee's style. He was the kind of guy that go out of his way for other people. Speaking of developing new faculty, Lee helped mentor many others besides myself. Lee had hired Ricky Roberts and Jeff Nemechek, both very successful livestock judging coaches, who grew from his tutelage. Likewise, Kyle Fulton, Jay Harris were among the proteges, and those were just the ones that I saw in the last 10 years of his service. I can remember Lee introducing me to Marcella Warner, now Warner Holman, who was one of his students and as a graduate, a guest speaker for a couple of his classes. With his encouragement, she developed the teaching bug, and later she became an adjunct instructor, then a full-time instructor at the college. She still serves in the community of the college to this day as an adjunct instructor, all due to Lee's encouragement and guidance. Finally, Lee hired a young lady to teach several courses when she was just getting started, my wife, Kelly. She was able to teach animal science and agronomy classes for Lee. I credit him for developing her desire to teach, which 25 years later, she's still going today. Thank you, Lee. Sometimes in life, it's the little things that stick in our memories. For example, I have my father-in-law's pitchfork. Many of you have handled a pitchfork. You know there's always one that you really like. But every time I pick that up, I think of my father-in-law. And he's been gone for a little while now. And every time I go into the classroom, well, if you knew Lee, he had great handwriting. Now I have to really work at it. I kind of have chicken scratch handwriting, but Lee's was about perfect. And every time I go in there and I write animal science, and I write it really neat, with my best cursive, I think of Lee and walking by the hallway and seeing him writing on the board. In fact, I was looking at these pictures over here, and one of them you can see standing in front of a chalkboard, and you can kind of see the script behind it. And it's the little things, you remember. So, Lee was able to be a great teacher, as well as a successful farmer, rancher, and a custom harvester. I got to slow down here for just a second. It's obvious that for most people, just one of these jobs is a full-time endeavor. To be able to be a family man, a full-time professor, a farmer rancher, and own his own custom harvesting business is something that most people wouldn't even attempt, let alone be successful at. But his commitment to the school throughout was obvious. And even as he got close to his end of his 30 years here, I can remember seeing Lee's vehicle parked at the school, and he was working on the lessons for the next week. That's something. Lee was here at the college teaching from 1972 to 2003. And I think he's a great example for those wanting to make agricultural education, or education at all, a career, and as a professor. He still serves on advisory committees and acts as an employer and mentor for young students who want to be a part of agriculture. Speaking of that, Lee has always employed students to help in his farming and custom harvest businesses, which operate from Texas through the Dakotas, all the way to the Canadian border. Lee hired people from all over the globe. In some ways, you can say he was an international ambassador to agriculture and DC3. I was just a young man when I met Lee, and I've served many years at this school. I can say with certainty that Lee was still right when he devoted so much of his time here. Dodge is a great place to work and raise a family. And whenever I think of what should I do in this situation, I can't help but think, what would Lee do? I'm proud to be here introducing him as Outstanding Service recipient. Thank you, Lee.
How about everybody standing up just a minute? We've been sitting there for quite a while. Relax a little bit. Okay, well, thank you, David, and the committee for selecting me. I appreciate that, and so many faces that I recognize out here today. It's a good feeling to be back and to comment about a few things that I remember about the service that we had at Dodge City Community College. My wife and I walked up here last night just to kind of see what the setting was a little bit, and we remembered coming for our interview. We remembered Orville Cleaver going to the administration building, and Orville Cleaver and George Harshberger and John Crennan. And that was quite an interview, but we were successful in that. And John took us out to look around because we went to school at Oklahoma State and we went to school at Kiowa, and I taught at Kiowa. But I never had really been to western Kansas. And so John took us out north here about 15 miles, and I rode with him, looked around, and he said, "Well, what do you think?" And I said, "Where are the trees?" He said, "Oh, you'll get used to that before long." And so anyway, we came back, and in a few days, I was hired as the ag instructor here, and it was quite a challenge. I didn't realize that I was going to teach 4 classes the first semester, and then 4 different classes the second semester. I thought that college professors taught a couple of courses, and then second semester they taught a couple more of the same thing. So anyway, it was a real challenge. So I quickly realized that there were a lot of resources here in our community, and examples of that were Raleigh Stukenholtz of Servotech, who I utilized in my ag chemicals class and my principles of feeding class. There are local veterinarians, Bill Ripple and David Ripple and Dr. Champlin, and those people were very willing to come and be a part of my class
and serve as guest speakers. And in fact, Dr. Champlin, I think we put together like 3 hours of videotapes of what to do in different situations, and antibiotics and different types of medications that would be beneficial to the livestock industry, and helping us understand those things. So I really did appreciate that. I got to know Gary Kane of Durkane Feed Yard out north of town. He was a Texas Tech graduate and very knowledgeable and very helpful. We utilized people and places at Sid Warner and the Warner Ranch at Cimarron, and Henry and Nan Gardner at the Gardner Angus Ranch down in Ashland. I never will forget, we took a whole busload of students down to the Gardner Angus Ranch, and Henry sat down and talked to us about what he was doing, what he was trying to accomplish, and Nan was there with cookies and soft drinks, and really made us feel at home. And so we learned a lot of things from Henry, and he took us out on a tour. He talked about spraying his pastures and how that was beneficial and how that helped. And he indicated to us that, that increased his carrying capacity by 1/3. And he said, that really means that I don't have to buy 1/3 more acres, that we're just much more efficient. And so it was things like that that was very helpful, and things that we learned. We had a lot of students from all over the place, all over Kansas. We had students from Oklahoma, and we had students from Colorado. And one of the best compliments that I ever received was from Craig Meeker at Wellington. Craig was a pole vaulter here, and he attended one of my classes, a Principles of Feeding class, and he also later went on to Wichita State University and was very successful there. But he told me once that the Principles of Feeding class that I took from you was one of the most beneficial classes that I ever had. And I took that as a great compliment. He talked about the nutrient discussions that we had in class, and about the feed samples and the ration balancing. I always felt like that students really needed to learn how to do those things. So we took students out into the field, and we took from Raleigh Stukenholtz the feed probe, and we would probe into round bales and into square bales, and we'd take samples from the different fields and put those together, and then we would package them, and we would take them down to Servitec, and they would analyze them, and then we would get the analysis, come back, and figure out what that actually meant. And we'd talk about whether we had nitrate poisoning or prussic acid poisoning or any other type of problem that could harm the livestock that they were trying to produce. And it was a good feeling to do that with the students. I felt like I was really teaching them something, really that they would go home and use, or if they didn't use it at home, they would use it in a teaching class or something similar to that. The next thing, and David alluded to it a little bit, was that we studied and we talked about transferability of classes. And our admissions directors and our student counselors helped us, understand how important that was, and helped us get in touch with our counterparts at Kansas State and at Fort Hays and at West Texas A&M, Northwestern at Alva, and make sure that our classes were the same as what they were teaching. Make sure that the course content was the same, and to be able to tell a student with credibility that, yes, this will transfer, or no, you shouldn't probably take that. I utilize students on my farm from time to time, and one of the students that I have this year is Mike McLean. Mike is a football player on our football team. He's the right tackle, and David helped him get in touch with me and come out and work with me, and I really enjoyed Mike. He's a student from Tennessee, And he kind of taught me some of the things that they do there, and I kind of showed him the things that we do here. And but he was saying one time when he was enrolling, he said, well, I'd like to take some ag classes, but my counselor says that they don't transfer. I said, Mike, go back to your counselor and talk to your counselor. I said, we worked hard. We worked long and diligently to make those things work, to make those things transfer. And so he did, and he said, then he came back later and he said, no, you were right. She said you were right, that they did transfer. So I think it's important that admissions counselors and students and everyone understand transferability and know what it is and have it accredited by those institutions. And if there's a change, then they need to talk about it. I think it's very important. So anyway, enough about that. We worked on that quite a bit. I'm proud to say that my grandson is a student at Johnson County Community College, and he is on the debate team up there. And my granddaughter, Gentry Lancaster, attended the Northwest VOTEC at Alva, completed her LPN or practical nursing program down there in 15 months. It was 15 months of all day long. It was pretty stringent, but we know it's a credible program, and we know the one that Louis is in Johnson County is credible as well. And I think those are important for those students to know. In the 1980s, we expanded our ag curriculum into agribusiness, and we had Mike Hitz, we had Jerry G, and so we felt like we were going in the right direction. But at the same time, recruitment became important. So we started working hard on recruitment, and we hosted many FFA contests here on our campus. Many of our instructors saw the blue and gold jackets all over the place. And we had a lot of our fellow instructors. We had John Avey and Pat Allison and Ron Albrecht and Francis Rivette, all a part of that, and it served us well. It helped our students see our college, and our college personnel see those students and be able to answer any questions that they might have. David McCullum put on many equine programs and competition for high school students. I think the more we got students on our campus, the more comfortable they became with us, and when it became time for them to select a school, Dodge City Community College was certainly one that they looked at. I never forget interviewing with John Avey and his radio program and his radio and TV at different ball games, and he would play those, and we would interview with him, and just trying to get information out and trying to get close to the students, and they feel comfortable with us so that they would consider Dodge City Community College when it became time to graduate. We made high school visits along with our admissions counselors. They suggested that we go with them. So we went with them and talked to the students, and once again, they became comfortable with us. We answered questions about transferability and what classes were specific about. We served on Senior Day. At Senior Day, we had the opportunities to have parents come in and students come in and look at our facilities and talk to our instructors, and it was a good thing as far as recruitment. Telethon, I don't know if you call it telethon or you call it recruitathon or whatever. We had banks of phones lined up here, and instructors got on those phones, and counselors got on those phones, and they had the recruitment cards. And so we took those recruitment cards and we called all of those in our areas. And then when we got through with those, we started calling others, just because I like to talk to people, I guess, probably. But anyway, it was kind of fun, and we recruited several students. I always remember our
Well, I guess I got off my deal. Here we go again. Christy asked me to talk to you a little bit about the memories that I had as an instructor here. So I'll tell you a few. One of them, as you know, we had the little center pivot donated to us over here by the Addison family out of Cimarron. And I think it's since been updated by High Plains Farm Equipment in the south part of Dodge City. But anyway, I had my ag chemicals class out there, and we had a tractor and a sprayer, and we were calibrating the sprayer, and it was getting to be about noon, and we had lab right after noon, and so I told one of the students, I said, go up there to the center pivot and turn that thing off, or move that thing around a little bit, and we'll park the tractor and the sprayer right here, and then we'll go eat, we'll come back after lunch, and we'll have our lab. So we did that, and he did that. And I drove home, only lived 2 or 3 blocks away, and I came back. And as I came back, I looked up there and I thought, something looks different. And I noticed the green roof on my tractor was gone. And I noticed the air conditioning system on my tractor was strung all out over the center pivot. And the center pivot was sitting there churning its wheels on top of my tractor, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what is this? But anyway, we all knew what it was. The center pivot didn't turn off. Well, we forgot to turn it off. And so, anyway, luckily we had good insurance and we got all that replaced, but that was something to remember, I'll tell you. One of the things that bothered me, another thing, was that I always tried to teach safety to students and to talk about students, or talk about safety to students. And we had a shop class one time, and as you all know, if you take a torch and for some reason the torch goes out, and you shut the oxygen off and you touch the red hot metal, usually at the end of the torch, it'll light back up. So this student's had that happen, and I was out kind of supervising. And as he pulled that hose that way, the oxygen bottle wasn't tied up, and it fell over and it hit the cement, and the valve on the oxygen at 2,200 pounds per square inch went flying through that shop. And I thought, oh my God. What could have happened to one of those students if they would have been walking across that particular area. So after that, everything definitely got chained up. I remember another memory. The students, they always like to come by and talk to you, It was Halloween. And there was about 4 or 5 students came to our house. You remember some of the little houses, they had the tall window, and then they had the medium window, and then they had the short window. And my wife, being about 5'1", she always looked out of the short window. And that day, there was a student, he actually was Paul Sheelite, who played basketball. And Paul was about 6'8", and he was standing there looking in the top window. And he had on this ugly mask of goofball teeth and blood all over his face. And my wife went to the door, and she turned around and she came back. I was sitting in the chair, and she said, "You go to the door. I'm not answering this." So anyway, when I got up to go see who it was or what was going on, they had taken their masks off. And I answered the door, and I said, "Well, hi, guys." And they say, "Hey, Lee, happy Halloween." And my wife said, "That's not the ones that I saw." Anyway, that was memorable and fun. I was glad that they came by, but that was different. We had a dean of instruction by the name of John Husband. And John was from Fowler. And he's kind of a short, red-headed guy, and he supported us. We obtained the land out at Farmland Industries, which is now
Coke Industries. And we took tractor and equipment out there and sprayers and different things from different times. And we had a disc out there that had a bearing out of it. So I had the pipe wrenches out there, and it was about 5:30, 5:45 or whatever. And I was taking those off and sweating, and it was hot. And John came out there and jumped right in and grabbed the pipe wrench and started working and started sweating. And I looked up and I thought, man, this guy is my dean of instruction. He's willing to do anything I do. I need to be doing anything he wants me to do. So that was pretty memorable. But probably the best is we had the so-called 10-minute rule, where instructors could be 10 minutes late and students were expected to kind of sit there and wait and then leave, after about 10 minutes, all forgiven. Well, little did they know that Lee typically came in every once in a while at 9 minutes and 30 seconds. And my wife corrected me that it's 9 minutes and 45 seconds, probably. But anyway, that happened from time to time, and that was kind of memorable because they would, they thought they were going to get out of class, and oh my God, there he is. Oh. But we were out there, as I mentioned about John Husband, we established many test plots out there, and those test plots, we gathered people in the community to help us. Gerard Licks helped plant, and Ted Lomas of the Rye Co-op helped supply the feed and the seed, and we were joined by Don Wiles and Monty Hampton of the various extension services, and so we had a great thing going with the community, and we had our students involved, and so it was a positive thing, I think. Beyond education, in 2003, I left Dodge City Community College to pursue my ambitions to farm and to harvest full time. And incidentally, I do have a fellow harvester here, Mr. Eldon Becker back here. He and I served many harvests down in Frederick, Oklahoma for Kent Baxter and Don Rose. Remember those people, Mr. Becker? No. Okay. And so anyway, we did a lot of that together. In fact, I asked Eldon one time, I said, Eldon, I drive around campus here, and I see these nice buildings around here. One of them's got the name Becker on it. Eldon Becker, I said. What in the world do I have to do to get recognized like Eldon Becker? He said, I don't know. But this makes up for it. I feel like I'm a part of it now. So thank you. Now, my wife and I purchased 1,500 acres out here in northwest Dodge. And so we farmed full time, and I was able to expand my custom harvesting operation from the state of Wyoming to North Dakota and South Dakota. When I was teaching school, I always came back the 1st of August, and then later I was making it back by about the first weekend or second weekend of September, and it was time to get wheat planted, and so we did that, and we traveled from down around Wichita Falls, Texas, up to Minot, North Dakota, and we moved a lot of equipment and a lot of men, and it was a real challenge, and we did it. We used a lot of students. We used a lot of Dodge City Community College students, ag students, graduates, but then it got hard to find people, and so we used people from South Africa, and we used students from Brazil, and the Ukraine as well, and so that became a challenge, but it was really neat because at the end of the day, we would sit down at the table, and we might have 12 or 15 people at the table, and Teresa would be serving the people, and it was just a great opportunity to get to know these young people and to work with these young people. Custom harvesting allowed my son and I to work together and to become acquainted with many different people up through the central part of the United States. Also to become acquainted with all the different practices that they did, how they did it. Eventually no-till farming in North Dakota. Those people taught us how to do those types of things up there. And they rotated crops. And we were involved, not in cotton, but we got to see cotton grow. We harvested flax, sesame, canola, wheat, corn, soybeans, milo, and peas. In fact, last week, I was down helping my son harvest sesame down in Oklahoma. And sesame is the sesame you see on your sesame seed buns. But the Chinese purchase and utilize a lot of those for an oil product. So far, Mr. Trump hasn't put any tariffs on sesame. So I hope he doesn't. We got a real education ourselves in traveling through the United States and working with different people. Not everyone in our family enjoyed the harvest. My wife really didn't care for all those hot days and sweaty days and moving through the country and all of the challenges. And in fact, she told me that she was sure that it was a genetic defect that I had inherited from my grandfather. And I said, yeah, it was probably a double recessive, but I liked doing it. In closing, my son Jeff always tells me, Dad, you didn't retire from teaching, you're always teaching. He said, all of the students, all of the people you have out here, you're always telling them what to do, how to do it, why we do it that way. I said, well, that's just part of it, I guess. So I enjoy doing that. Teaching continues to be a wonderful trait that I enjoy even today with Dodge City Community College students from time to time as they come out to my farm and I continue to work with them. And I hear once in a while that course doesn't transfer, and I say, go back there and double check and make sure that it does. So we do that. So, I never forget what Krista McCauley from the NASA space program said when interviewed, when they knew that she was going to fly and go into space. And one newspaper reporter asked her, now, what's your occupation? What is it you do? And her reply was, I'm a teacher. I touch the future. That's what I do. Thank you.
For those of you that haven't been able to come over and check out the displays, please do so. There are some wonderful memories and accomplishments over here, and I encourage you all to look at them in interesting yearbooks. I actually flip through them quite a bit. There's some great hairdos. Also over here, we did purchase gifts for Hall of Fame inductees. There is a tea set for you with our emblem etched into the glass and an ornament from Dodge City Community College for your Christmas trees this year. And for those of you that are coming to the holiday party tonight, I look forward to seeing you there, and I encourage our inductees to come. You should have gotten your invitation, so I hope to see you there as well. Before we all head our separate ways, I just wanted to say thank you for all the kind words today and for everyone that attended the 2018 Dodge City Community College Hall of Fame. I would like to thank our administration for all of you attending. It is so wonderful to have your attendance. Not all schools are fortunate to have such involved administrative staff members, and for our faculty and staff that attended, thank you so much for your support with this. I would also like to thank our Board of Trustees members that attended today. It is always wonderful to see your faces in the crowd and to have your support as well. I'd also like to thank the community members in the room today that have come to support our inductees and support the legacy of the college.
We are here to serve the community, and it is heartwarming to see your support as well. To the businesses in town who helped provide all of the wonderful arrangements at your tables and our seat covers and all of the things that went into today, I truly appreciate you. And to Great Western Dining, thank you so much. They always do a phenomenal job. And no matter how many emails I sent John, he emailed back and had a smile and was willing to help me, so I appreciate him. If you look around the room, you probably notice the cameras and all the electronics and Justin taking photographs. That is our amazing marketing and public relations team that we have here at the college, and we are so fortunate for them. I cannot thank you guys enough. They are currently live streaming the event for our inductees family members all over the country right now. They're also recording it, and they're going to edit it and put it together so that you may also have that as a memory. So thank you to Andrea, Lance, Justin, and Scott. You guys are very appreciated. I'd also like to thank a huge thank you to my HR and payroll department. Sydney and Ashley are over here. Teresa was here last evening helping me set up. And Andrea was here with us. We were here pretty late last night getting everything ready, and they kept me sane, and through all of my meltdowns were positive, and I just appreciate all of you. I couldn't have done it without you, obviously. And to my co-chair, Chris, and to Jane, Dr. Hawarda, for your diligent ironing. Thank you for that. I appreciate both of you and all of your help as well. And finally, I would most definitely like to thank Mr. Lancaster and Mr. Goff for attending today. Thank you so much for all that you've done for Dodge City Community College and allowing us to celebrate with you. So safe travels, everyone, and stay and enjoy the food and the coffee, and I look forward to seeing you all next year.